welcome to the SmackDown Live Recap Show with your host, Nathan the Legend Lipnick, and co-hosted by Nick McDaniel and Myron Fancher.
Tapped Out Nation, what is going on? It's the Legend here. Going to talk some SmackDown Live. I'm here with my buddy Nick. Nick, how are you this evening?
Man, doing good, man. Much better when you got a better episode to watch, don't you think?
Oh my God, it felt like Christmas morning compared to what we got last night on Raw. And before we get into the card, what was your overall feel of this show? Obviously, we liked it much more, but what stood out to you just in general?
Well, the good, I know we always do the good, the bad, and the ugly kind of thing, at the end, but I just, overall, it never ceases to amaze me that SmackDown with less does more. They considerably give us a better show, I think. Even, and we'll get there eventually, but even referencing Backlash, we joked about it. That show was going to be a freaking train wreck. And overall, I was actually pretty happy with the card.
I thought Backlash performed well. It similar to Payback, kind of went in with low expectations. Some of it was bad, some of it was the shits, some of it was good. And I'd say Backlash, there was more good than bad. But we kind of got a mini Backlash tonight, and let's get into that right now. So, starting off the night, you had Baron Corbin, Sami Zayn, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kevin Owens.
Yep.
In the Money in the Bank match for the Money in the Bank contract, blue briefcase this year.
Well, it's a SmackDown brand. Of course it is. It's got to be.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing that I took away from this was Kevin Owens made it a point to say, I want to be in this match. I deserve to be in this match. But he's the United States champion. What does he care if he's in this match or not?
Well,
does he want to get 2 belts?
Yeah, I do understand, from a... it makes sense, I guess, from a competitor standpoint when you think about it. Because shouldn't your goal always be to be the world champion or the WWE champion, whichever brand you're on? So I do understand the logic. He wants the top belt. But from the promotion side of it, it takes your U.S. title out of a match. Basically you're kind of eating up a match, putting him in there.
Yeah, and another thing, too, is we got that vignette promo recorded by Rusev a couple weeks ago, and he made it a point to mention Money in the Bank, like I want a match at Money in the Bank. So why wouldn't we get him? Why wouldn't Shane say, okay, I'll give you a match, I'll put you in the Money in the Bank match, and that frees up Kevin Owens to have a championship match on that same card.
There's an and it's funny, we chat a little bit before we start recording this, and literally something just popped into my head when you said that. Who's to say Randy Orton makes it to Money in the Bank? Or, maybe Rusev takes him out. How would you like that match? Babyface Rusev versus heel Jinder Mahal.
Handsome Rusev.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
Freaking Divas has got him over, man.
Do you think they may be going to that anyway? Do you think that, because I read something online that, and I don't know how credible it is, but that they're kind of thinking about going in that direction.
Yeah, no, I'd read the same thing about going babyface, and that's why I said, it just pondered in my head when you were like, why in the hell not? Or even if it's heel versus heel. It's different. And that's what everybody's screaming they want. It'll get think about it, gets Randy Orton out of the title picture.
Yeah. And we basically had a heel match between Randy and Jinder anyway.
That's what it felt like. Let's be honest with it. Or even, let's say Rusev somehow squirms his way. I know we hate triple threats, but let's say he worms his way into a triple threat with Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal for the title at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, absolutely. So Shane McMahon then announces that we're going to have a match between Sami Zayn and the Lone Wolf, Big Banter, Baron Corbin. So Corbin kind of did his whole shtick with, you talk too much, you should shut up, Sammy. Stop talking, Sammy. So we had this match between Corbin and Sammy, and Sammy picked up a win, a pretty convincing win as well, a few nights ago at Backlash, and we got a much different result tonight. Quick match, very quick. Not a lot of work, so I can't really get into too much of it. But you had a kind of a schoolboy package win on a guy that they always try to build up as this guy's 6'8". He was a Golden Gloves champ. He was an NFL guy.
Well,
roll up finish.
And I get they're trying to get the surprise win factor, which totally makes sense. I get that part, which there might have been a little too many of those, which we addressed a little bit, and we'll get there later. But the other part of that is I tweeted out after that match, I put, Sammy might have won the battle, but I do not think he's winning the war at the end of that, because he took a major league ass whooping after that match.
Oh, yes, and I was just going to go there, and Corbin completely went unhinged and basically murdered Sammy. He chair shot after chair shot after chair shot. He dumped him on the barricade, and the crowd went with it too. Corbin was getting some good heat out of this, which is a good thing. And Sammy is kind of the designated punching bag. He was that way on Raw. He's that way now. I don't know what's going to happen. If he's ever going to get his moment. Maybe it might happen at Money in the Bank, but my God, he really got wrecked tonight.
Yeah, and it's the you say about Baron Corbin getting the heat. Two notes about him. One, I think you get the heat because everybody loves Sami Zayn. He's the lovable, and I don't want to say lovable loser, but that's because he obviously won the match. But in the long run, he seems to be taking a lot of the L's that matter. But the second part about Baron Corbin is what you were saying, man. It's his promo work's getting there. He's still got some work to go. But I always tell you the stories of I'm watching it with my wife, and she's sitting there looking at the TV. And during that big cluster muck of an interview that they opened the show with, she looks up and she actually says, "Who's the tall guy?" Yeah. And I said, "Oh, Baron Corbin." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, he looks like they're building. He looks like a dick, and he looks like he would whoop somebody's ass." So they're pulling off the character very well, because somebody who's super casual looked up into the ring. Now, granted, she knows who AJ Styles is. There's a story there, but she knows who AJ Styles is. But she just wasn't really that impressed by anybody else in the ring. She's not a fan of Shinsuke Nakamura, by the way. So that's, I don't know why. I try to argue, and I just gave up. She just does not like his entrance. She doesn't like him. So in that ring, the casual fan.
I like her already.
The casual fan, looking at that ring with those six guys, the person she thought that looks like the biggest badass in the ring was Baron Corbin.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got the look. People like to make fun of his hairline and all this other bullshit, but he's a bad guy. He doesn't have to, he doesn't have to get that addressed. He doesn't have to do LeBron James and get that fixed. He's the ugly bad guy, and that's what we want. So after that, we had the women's match, and the heels basically got no entrance. They basically got back from commercial, and then we got Carmella, Ellsworth.
Hey, did you notice? I don't mean to interrupt, but did you notice that actually happened several times tonight?
It did happen several times tonight, and obviously we want to have Charlotte's entrance, and this match, it was a tag match. We had Natty, Carmella, Becky, and Charlotte, and what struck me is this is the first time we got that picture-in-picture during the commercial. And it definitely caught me off guard, because it's like, I got up to microwave some food, or you could grab a cup of coffee, and it's like, oh, it's still going on. Go back to the action. And, it had some decent work in it. Carmella ended up tapping to Becky Lynch. Now, Carmella has 2 wins over the champion, Naomi, who was absent in this match. I think she might have been ringside.
She was ringside, but yeah, pretty much, not a factor.
But the question that I have is, if this was to set up well, we'll get to what happened after this, but there was no turn. There was no hint of a turn from anyone. We basically got a continuation of what we got from Sunday, which had no real development attached to it. It felt very like, well, we need to put a women's match on the card, so let's just have this. And I don't like that. There's no development there. I want to have a story. And the story right now is that these are the bad girls, these are the good girls, and they're going to fight. Okay, but we want to. I want to see the development. I want to see Becky looking frustrated. I want to see Charlotte rolling her eyes. Something along those lines. We didn't get any of that tonight.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
I don't really need anybody turning on each other at this point in the big like I don't need Becky. Everybody wants Becky to turn heel, and I'm like, I mean, she's the ultimate. I mean, I think she's the ultimate babyface. Why would she turn heel?
Because that's just it. Because no one sees it coming.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't shock people just to be shocked, to shock somebody. I think she's the good babyface right now. If anything, I think what we end up seeing down the road would be Charlotte showing her true colors, that she just wants to be champion. She'll use anybody, anything to get it. If that means she's got to partner it with Becky's lunch for a little while, if she's got to go over with Carmella or whatever, she would do it. I think if it would get her shot back at the title. I think that's the ultimate punchline, is that Charlotte is going to prove that she can't be trusted. That all she cares about is gold. She's like her father. It's all about the gold, and that's all that matters. So, but
yeah, and that would make sense too, because if she basically shows her true colors, as you said, but still manages to get one over on the welcoming committee, Team Thick, then she basically bested everyone. And I think there's a way to do that without looking like they're burying everyone. But I guess we'll see what happens next week, because we'll get into the booking of the next week's women's match. But
no, go ahead and go there, man. Just roll right into it. Yeah,
let's
roll right
into it. We had a bunch of arguing backstage between Natty. Okay, so Natty went to Shane McMahon and said, you told me to ask you when I wanted to have a women's championship match. Well, I'm asking you right now. Then you had other people get involved. Tamina got involved. Carmella got involved. Ellsworth basically told Tamina that he was friend zoning her, which I thought was hilarious. I love Ellsworth.
Because if anybody's fucking friend zoned right now, it's him. It's not,
Yeah, that's what makes it work for me. And a lot of people are like, oh, he shouldn't be in the WWE. And it's like, why the hell not? Managers are such a lost art at this point. And if they do it right, there's a lot that they can add to an angle or a feud or a match or all the above. So I'm okay with that.
And he's comedy.
But then,
he's funny.
He had his babyface time when he was getting one over on AJ Styles with Dean, which, But now it's like, okay, let's make him a huge douchebag heel. Fine with me. He plays it well. He dresses in outrageous clothing. I'm okay with that.
Damn right.
See nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
So then Shane basically says, all right, here's what's happening. We're going to have a fatal 5-way elimination match next week on SmackDown Live in
Atlanta, Georgia.
We'll
be there.
And that match next week will decide the number one contender to face Naomi. My question is, why would they not make that, at least have that to be the match at Backlash? It took them 2 weeks of basically the same match to get to, okay, now we're going to decide the number one contender.
And you would have had 4 weeks to hype it from Backlash to Money in the Bank, that they were the number one contenders, and we figure it out along the way. I agree 100%. I've said it time and time again before we started recording. I don't think we're going to find out next week. I think something's still going to be wacky and wonky in there, and that we're not going to find out who the number one contender is for the women's title match. And I pray to God that's not the case. I'm hoping we get it, but I just don't think we are. I just Atlanta, I just don't think it's going to happen.
You don't think there's going to be a good finish in the match that they?
I don't think we're going to get
3 weeks to get.
I don't think we're going to get a definitive match or a definitive finish. I think we're going to get, something crazy. We've all heard the rumors out there about it, and I'm praying that it's not the case. There's a rumor flying around about there's a women's Money in the Bank match maybe coming. We expressed, I think, together, we were talking about it, and we both just think, I think it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I like the idea. I just am not afraid, but it's puzzling how they would execute it. Just based upon the booking and the fact that they have to throw ladders into the ring and then use those ladders as weapons with a bunch of people in the ring. I like the idea of it. I just am not sure if I love just playing out the execution in my head.
Right. We talked about it. I don't know that, and I don't doubt their physical strength. And so, I mean, they're great athletes.
Yeah.
But the men struggle at times with those ladders to get them to do what they need them to do. And I just don't see the women manipulating them and, picking up a ladder and like throwing it on another woman or spinning it and hitting her. Ask do you remember that it was on a SmackDown show, for crying out loud? Do you remember when back when the Morrison and Nitro were Eminem? And when he got laid open, I'm like, that's the shit that happens in ladder matches. And that's and it's not from a sexist point of view for me to say this. That's why I don't want women in those matches, because I don't want somebody getting hurt like that. Especially, Charlotte. Carmella.
Right. And I want to stress that I'm a big supporter and advocate of women's wrestling, but honestly, with the way things are in 2017, all it would take is one woman superstar getting busted open with a ladder, and then that's all over USA Today, and it hurts the business.
Yep.
So, anywho, we're getting that match next week. Do you think if there's a kind of a non-finish that the Atlanta crowd will let them hear about it?
I'm going to throw a challenge out because I've said this time and time again. I think Atlanta crowds are horrible.
Really?
I haven't seen a good WWE crowd. Let me backpedal. Television crowd. Mania doesn't count because that's not Atlanta. You know what I mean? That's the world coming into Atlanta when I was there. The Raws and the SmackDowns are typically not very good. I've been to a couple of house shows that were really good though. So I could, the last one we did, Myron and I went to was a SmackDown house show, and it was actually really, really good. But it was just packed with kids. It was just a crazy odd. It was over the Christmas break, so it was just packed with kids. But I guarantee you next week, we actually, believe it or not, guys, we'll throw this out here. We're going to record this show after we get back from SmackDown. So it's going to be late. It'll be later than normal. But we'll record and let everybody know, from firsthand experience what the show is like. But I guarantee you, I'm right. I'm going to guarantee you that the crowd will be probably one of the things I complain about.
And when you say complain, they're a bad crowd, is it that they're too tepid, or that they cheer for the wrong people, so to speak, with the storyline?
Tepid. They just don't keep an intensity. If there's anything about Atlanta sports fans, Joel, we're infamous for. It's just there's so much good stuff to do in Atlanta that it's almost everything's an event. It's not like you're a diehard when you go. It's almost like LA where you want to be seen,
Oh, okay.
and it's that kind of environment. Like, people that go to Vikings games, they want to go to Vikings games. People that go to like Braves games. There's so many box seats and suites and corporate tickets in this town that honestly, I can't tell you the last time I paid for a Braves game. Can't tell you the last time I've paid for a. Trying to think, the minor league hockey team that's just down the street. I've never paid for a ticket for that, because I have a friend who's got a suite there with her company, and we just go for that. For free. It's just one of those things. I'm like, that's how you go to these events. I tell people paying to go to a sporting event in Atlanta which kind of makes me wonder, like, why the hell do I always have to pay so much to go to WWE, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just a really tough. It's been literally other than Mania, I had to go all the way back to Triple H returning at the Royal Rumble for a great crowd.
Oh God.
That's about how far in my head I have to think that's probably at a WWE event. I've been to some other shows that were, I thought, really good shows, but they were not WWE events. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
Next segment, we had the Fashion Files. Backstage vignette, Shane McMahon. Breezango turning in their badges, disgraced that their day one was not H.
Yeah.
Back at Backlash. Turned in their badges. At one point, Breeze tried to take his pants off. They handed in their guns, which were brightly colored water pistols. And then Shane basically books 2 singles matches against Jimmy and Jey Uso. And then Fashion Files, it hasn't disappointed yet, at least with me.
Well, you know my story. I honestly, my wife had her surgery a while back, so I've been out home taking care of her for about, Jesus, I'm about to say this. It's almost been 2.5 months. Every day, other than Mondays and Tuesdays, yes, I can tell you, other than Mondays and Tuesdays, Law and Order SVU is on every single day. And we're talking all day long. I'll plug. It's on USA, Ion, or We. One of those 3 channels has it all day long. And I know this because I've watched a lot of them to the point that sometimes we'll sit there, while we're eating lunch or something, and I'll go, we've seen this one before, right? And so, but anyway, I say that because obviously seeing so much SVU, every time the Fashion Files come up, I go, dun dun. It's like, dun 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 dun. And then, of course, what pops in your head is Ted 2. Let's all go to court. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So I've enjoyed it as a whole, the Fashion File segment. But tonight, actually, I don't know why I thought I popped for the God, what were they called? Now I just completely lost the Greenwich, the Mean Street Posse.
Oh,
the picture in the back, and then the one of how many chins?
How many chins? Oh yeah. And they thought Shane McMahon had a mustache.
Yeah.
I think that one went over my head, but so then you had then we had the event of the evening, the coronation, the celebration of the rise of the age of the modern Maharaja, Jinder Mahal, your WWE champion. And this was an event. It started, you had dancers in costumes doing choreographed movement. You had drums in perfect sync. You had pyro. Like, this was a WrestleMania type entrance.
Ain't no party like Jinder a Punjab party, right? That's what I tweeted out.
Absolutely. And this was really cool. This was entertainment. I loved it.
I want to ask you, because this was something that popped into my head when I was watching this. This was an old school kind of thing to where they made it feel like a big deal that he won. He didn't just stroll out there with the belt on his shoulder and saying, "I told you I did what I was going to do," like your typical, rolling out your new champion. I mean, it was a big deal. The presentation was big, and I feel, me personally, that kind of bumped him up a level, that it looked bigger. It wasn't just like he got lucky, he won. They're like, no, he won, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, and you had the Singh brothers wearing some brand new silk button-down shirts, which is, it's good to see them on their feet after Randy dropped them both on their necks.
Yeah,
on those tables. And this celebration, this coronation of our new champ, really elevated him, as you said. It basically, he put himself over with the help of like 50 other people.
Yeah.
It was a cool segment. And you had him, he kind of came out and said, this, the similar, you don't like because I don't look like you. There was kind of a USA chant, but that kind of died down, and I loved it.
He's getting the heat. It may take time, but it's coming. You can feel it slowly but surely. And I think they're going with Old Faithful, the you don't like me because I look different, I talk different. And I think just over time, it will just slowly build and slowly build. And I think we were talking, and eventually somebody will beat him, and it'll be a big deal. Thank God. Even because if you love the fact that he won the title, then you're happy. If you hate him as champion, you're gonna be ecstatic when the guy beats him and takes the belt from him. So then you're gonna be even happier versus somebody who now I got to get off Orton, because I let me ask you, do we think that's where it's going back to?
I hope not. Orton's irrelevant at this point. The fact that that segment didn't get the heat that maybe they thought that it would get just proves to me that Orton is irrelevant. There was commentary didn't mention him. The belt can't go back to Randy already. Come on, we just had our dessert. We don't want to have another dessert. We're gonna get stomachache. So I don't know if that's what they're gonna do. If they're gonna go back to Randy, because this celebration segment tonight was more impressive and entertaining than anything he's done in the past since WrestleMania. Whether it's been a promo or a match or anything, this topped anything he's done since he won the belt.
It made it feel bigger.
Yeah. So. And he didn't win the belt at WrestleMania. He won it at because he faced Bray at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, this was cool. We then had the Usos come out first with the belts after commercial. The champions got announced first. One of my biggest pet peeves is having the champs come out first. And for whatever reason, Kevin Dunn keeps doing it week after week, and I'm not sure why. Maybe he's trying to put Breezango more over by having to come out second, but we had Breeze first, I believe.
Yep.
Against Jay.
We had versus A Uso. That's what I always like to say.
Yeah,
A Uso, because at this point.
And then, so they turned in their guns, I thought, but then you had a water pistol distraction from Fandango for Deputy Dongo.
Deputy Dongo. That's
on the apron. And then you had a roll-up win, but this one worked. The crowd was really into this. So then, the second match, because we had two singles matches in a row to enhance our tag team wrestling. Fandango against Jimmy Uso.
If it wasn't Jay, it was Jay. Yeah, it was one of the two.
And then you had more of the disguises from Breeze chasing him around the ring. There was an old school feel to this, and I think a lot of fans, whether they're older fans or younger, it's getting over with a lot of people, and not just online, with the forums, Twitter, whatever, but the crowd was into this match more than I think any other match of the night, even more than the main event.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Even because we'll get to the next. I'll follow up, but with the reaction of the match that come next, that just was even kind of you saw the disappointment in some faces, but. This was what we talked about earlier, though. I did want to address that. Was my only complaint is I felt like we had three, of the surprise, roll-up wins on the same card. And in a 2-hour show, not even a pay-per-view, like a 3 or 4 hour pay-per-view, it can kind of pile up. But the funny part was these were the two that made more sense.
Oh, yeah. This made more sense than Sammy winning with a steel win after Sammy had a convincing win a couple days ago. It's like, what, couldn't he just do the same thing? And so, in any case, you then had Fandango took the mic, and he did kind of a, hello, into the mic. And I thought that was a really subtle, joke at, he never gets to talk on the mic. And,
yep.
In that Fashion Files before, he couldn't say the word reconnaissance.
Yeah.
And it's kind of... some people may call it tacky humor, but they make it work. And then challenge the Usos for a match. The referee gets on a headset and yep, Shane said, let's do it.
Can I throw in my joke here?
Yeah,
He
please.
took his earpiece out to put on the headset.
Yeah.
I'm like, does anybody else see the problem with that? He literally took the earpiece out to put on the headphones. I'm like, you do know he could talk to them in the back, right? Through the headset. Anyway, go ahead. I was like that.
Yeah. And then the Usos agreed to this, probably to protect their pride as the bad guys they are. And Breeze got beat down, hot tag to Fandango. You then had kind of a false tag between Jimmy and Jay, a diving crossbody, and then another diving crossbody right afterward. It might have been a
Fandango went for his leg drop. Yeah, his leg that he hit.
Drop.
Yeah. And then
a crossbody right afterward. Bang, bang to finish. I thought it was a good finish. And you could feel the disappointment and that, like, oh my God, they showed one kid in the crowd who was just showing it on his face. And Kevin Dunn likes to go to the crowd and look at the reaction. They got this one perfect.
Well, it's not a bad thing. I mean, when it's something like that, I mean, because like I said, you could tell with those two victories, those singles victories, as fluky as they were, the crowd kind of, for a split second, I think, bought it. Like, oh, tonight they're going to win. You know, they lost at the pay-per-view, and this is their night. They're going to get because that happens a lot lately with a team loses at the pay-per-view, and then they win on Raw or SmackDown, later the next day or day after. And I think people bought into. I'll go ahead and tell you, for the longest time, I was not into Breezango, period. I mean, but just over the last maybe month and a half, 2 months, it just slowly grows on you. And so they've done a really good job as far as coming along. But tonight, I think they worked. People bought that this was going to happen. They were going to win, and then, by the way, phenomenal work, because I don't care what anybody says, that took all three parties involved on that finish. And everybody's like, oh, he just laid there and took it. Yeah, well, he risked knowing that one's coming one way, one's coming another, and he trusted those guys. And when that leg drop hit, and then the splash, the crossbody, great. And we talked about it off air. People fight me all they want. The Usos are they are the best tag team on SmackDown. And before the Hardys came back, I didn't think it was close. I thought they were the best tag team in the WWE, period.
Yeah. They're great in the ring. They have been for a long time. And anyone who would say, no, he just laid there, it's like, you got a 200-some pound guy flying on top of you, and then another one flying on top of you. So go ahead and try that. Have a guy jump off a table onto a hard mat, and let me know how it goes.
Yeah.
But this ending, as deflating as it was, put both teams over, respectively. We gave more sympathy. We have more sympathy for Breezango. We want to see more Fashion Files. And it's like, oh, those damn Usos, which is what they want. So I liked it. I liked the finish of it.
And I think we're heading up. Unfortunately, I think my opinion is that was probably the ship sailing as far as the Breezango tag title picture. I think they'll still be the Fashion Police, the Fashion Files, and they'll kind of do their thing. And I think they are more over because of the program they just ran. But I think we're all knocking on the door of, I think it's about time to be a New Day on SmackDown.
What if we got Breezango to get the belts to then feud with the New Day, though?
What
if the New Day went heel? Like, they were heels before.
Yeah, I just think they're so over as babies that I don't think the crowd's going to boo them yet anyway.
That's true.
And I just think that if you want, the problem is the Usos still get a little bit of a pop, even with their current gimmick. And I think that the New Day is the team that can push the Usos over the heel edge. I think it's something as simple as Kofi's coming back, have the Usos go after the leg, and try to put him back on the shelf kind of thing. That's, to try to get heat, because people would be ticked off if you thought, Like, man, they're gonna put the New Day back on the shelf again, because apparently they can't. Two of them can't wrestle. It takes all three of them. So that's why we haven't seen them back yet. But yeah, I think that's where we're heading. And to be honest with you, I'm ready for it. That's a feud I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm glad we're finally going to get it. I think.
Do you remember Slater and Rhino when they became the inaugural SmackDown Live Tag Team Champions?
Oh yeah.
This is very similar to that, and I don't know if it's going to go in the same direction. But they had those segments with Heath's trailer and Rhino eating crackers, and it's like, I don't know why I like this, but I do. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Fashion Files. It's like, I don't know why this is good. On paper, this, if you read it out loud, it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, we're gonna spoof Law and Order SVU, and we're gonna with Fashion Files and make really corny jokes and that kind of stuff. But it just, I'm 100% behind you. I think the overtime, it's funny, it's working.
Yeah. Well, we then had our main event of the evening, and it was a tag match. We had AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Kevin Owens, the United States of America champion, and Dolph Ziggler. Now, came back from commercial. AJ and Nakamura didn't get an entrance. And
what the hell was that? I'm one of those people. I bitched about it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You've got AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura standing in the ring with no entrance.
We already got the Shinsuke entrance earlier, and then we got that. That was like one of the first things we got.
I got Kevin Owens entrance. You really want
to hear that damn song for 10 minutes, 2 different times the same night? Get out of here.
I got Kevin Owens' entrance twice.
Yeah,
I got Dolph Ziggler's twice.
Oh, by the way, with Ziggler's, Ziggler had that song, it starts out, I'm here to show the world.
Yeah.
This one, it was the I Am Perfection version, which he typically did when he was a heel with, Vicky Guerrero and whatever. So I like that. But, I don't need to hear Shinsuke. I've heard Shinsuke's entrance a zillion times already. He just got to the main roster. It's like Hulk, one of the podcasts I listened to, the Dr. Hugenstein show.
Mm-hmm.
So follow them at Dr. Huge Show. He mentioned Shinsuke's entrance at this point, it's like Hulk Hogan's music, that they play it and it just loops again and loops again and loops again. And it's fun, but it's like, I don't need to hear it twice in one night. But the match, Ziggler showing off a little extra tonight. Like, he he was HBK.
Well, he's trying to work his way back into a title picture, man. He's got to make himself go back to what I called main event Ziggler. He can't beat Intercontinental Ziggler.
No, even though that feud with Miz was one of the best of last year. During that neck breaker, and he's kind of swiveling the hips a little bit. It's a little extra from Ziggler tonight, and I liked it. Kevin Owens, the headlock master, calling AJ Styles a loser and pointing at Shinsuke, and you're saying you're also a loser. Like, calling AJ Styles a loser that's real heel stuff.
Does anybody cut a better headlock promo? Like the rear chin lock promo is what I like to call it. When he gets everybody, it's every week. As soon as I see him lay down and lock it on, I'm like, let's see what gold he spits out of his mouth this week, because it's just nonstop every week. It's some funny shit that he's throwing out when he gets them in. It's just hilarious.
Absolutely. And what they did, and this kind of confused me at first, because earlier in the night we had that tag match between the Usos and Breezango, and you had Tyler Breeze kind of being the quote unquote little guy, so he was getting beat up. And then the hot tag to Fandango. They did that tonight in this main event. Shinsuke was getting his ass whooped by Dolph Ziggler, and AJ was the hot tag. Yep. And I don't know if they're trying to get more sympathy on Nakamura. I don't think they need it at this point. But then you had AJ come in and clean house. Styles basically beat the shit out of Ziggler. Bunch of near falls. And then it ended up being a Kinshasa to Kevin Owens. And then Kevin Owens, the United States of America champion, got pinned by Nakamura, and that's the end.
Well, he had to because he's a champion in a tag match, so he's got to lose. That's WWE booking right now.
Yeah. The thing that we talked about this earlier, they're really, really teasing up this AJ Nakamura. Doing. I don't know if they did the fist bump tonight or not, but do you think they're doing this too early?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought it was way rushed putting them together. I mean, because think about it. You could have teased it. If they don't have, let's go back and think about this. AJ doesn't have a Bullet Club. He doesn't have any of that to watch his back. Why not maybe, Dolph and Owens jump him for a couple weeks and he needs a partner. And then Shinsuke comes down and says he'll be his partner. Build to that moment, because I just thought it was a little rushed. There is some of that. They tried to tell a little bit of the story, but, like you were talking earlier, it was that, Vince is only going to put over New Japan to a certain point. And then that's enough of that New Japan shit. Let's get back to what we do. And actually, I'm going to address something you said also. When you made the comment about, would they trying to get sympathy on Shinsuke, and that's why he was the one who needed the hot tag to AJ, my answer might be maybe, just a maybe. Vince has had AJ now for over a year.
Yeah.
He may have been protecting AJ. Shinsuke's the new kid on the, and I know he thinks he's a star. Obviously, he's there for a reason. But maybe it's like, I don't even want to make this guy look bad. I don't want him taking the ass whooping for 5, 10, whatever, minutes of the match. Let's let him take it, and then he can be the hot tag coming in. He'll still get the win, so he'll look strong, no pun intended. But but at least AJ's protected in the bigger picture. So
make Nakamura look strong. I guess it may make more sense than I give it credit for, but I just hate champions losing like that. And it's easier if it's a heel champ in a sense, but it's kind of not, because you want to protect those heels if you're building that feud. And
why couldn't Dolph have lost that match?
Well, I mean, Dolph getting pinned by Shinsuke again, like 3 days later. I don't know.
It was a wacky tag ending anyway, so I'm like, it's one, just spin it a different way, but at least Owens. I mean, I love I love Ziggler, but I'd rather him take that L than Owens take the loss. I mean, because it's an old MSL. I don't know if you ever listened to his show over on MLW Network. That's probably his number one pet peeve is champions losing. Especially non-title matches. He's like, for God's sake, if you're a champion and they put you in any match that's non-title, you're losing.
Yeah, it's definitely the shits, and I hate it. But like I always say, the beauty of the age that we live in is that the majority of the fans, except for the super anal retentive ones, are going to forget about this in a week or two, unless they do a promo where they've mentioned that, hey, this happened 2 weeks ago. Remember when I did this to you? It's not going to matter too much. We talked about it last night. Now, Raw is way more guilty of this than SmackDown is, but it's just they're writing a show. They're not writing a storyline like they used to. And SmackDown does a much better job of their booking and their storytelling, but it was a quality main event. There was good action in it, and I guess we'll see what happens. I guess you will see what happens
next week. We'll report, from Atlanta. But I will answer you. I think we're going to hear this again because we talked about it off air. We talked about this a little bit, and I think this loss to Shinsuke begins the feud of Nakamura Owens for the U.S. title.
Oh yeah, just like the Indies, right? By the way, that whole main event was an indie orgy.
I mean, Dolph, I always joke about Dolph. Dolph was not an indie guy. I mean, he is born, bred WWE through and through.
Yeah.
But Jesus, he wrestles like he was in the indies forever. I mean, it's, kind of thing. So, but yeah, that's you absolutely 100, you've nailed it 100%. That was, the only thing that could have been better, right, is it would have been a bingo hall.
Yeah. For church basement, like Randy Orton says, for $10 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've gone through the card. Typically what I like to do is I like to give you a chance to throw out what you thought was your pick for the night of what was the shits. And what your pick for the night was, that was your biggest positive takeaway.
The shits part, we just kind of, I think, just covered it. I wasn't a big fan of Owens taking the loss in the main event. I'll start with the shits because that's usually where, I mean, but then as far as the production side of it, like you said, champions coming out first, people not getting entrances, and then Owens taking the loss, with that one being my top tier of it. The plus, man, is honestly, I will go across the board on the show. I thought the show was a little better than even if you read, like I read the results, it was hysterical. I read the results and thought to myself, had I read the results only and not seen the show, I would have thought that it probably wasn't the greatest show. I would have said I would have underestimated what it actually was, and because that especially if you read, Fandango wins, Breezango wins, and then you see that match, reading that wouldn't do it justice versus actually sitting there and seeing that storyline play out. So as a whole, like you said, SmackDown just does a better job of weaving the stories longer and, better than Raw typically does. And I think that's why, we honestly joke about it. I'd rather recap the SmackDown show than the Raw show. I mean, because it tends to be a little easier to sit through, and it does for 2 hours, obviously, versus 3.
Yeah.
But that's just, the overall show would probably be my, bit plus for the show.
All right, I'll let you get away with that one tonight. The pick for the shits.
Well, hold on. I'm not gonna let you. Don't let me get away with it. If you really want me to pick, I'll honestly tell you, I think Baron Corbin looked the best out of everybody.
Thank you.
I think he came out of it better with the ass whooping he put on Sami Zayn. I think he really elevated himself. So there you go.
Oh God, yeah, that was a Tommaso Ciampa beating he laid on Sami Zayn. It was rough. And the shits for me, unfortunately it feels like a theme. The women's match and the women's writing. It feels very thrown together. You have the sides are kind of the lines are drawn in who's the bad girl, the good girl, but we got a match back on Backlash that was basically meaningless. We got a match tonight that was basically meaningless. And from your prediction, and I can only hope for the best, we may not even get to finish next week. So I just want to see some development. Raw has been, as far as their women's division, they've been doing much better than SmackDown has. And
what a change that's been.
Oh, yeah.
A couple months ago, remember, we were talking about how great SmackDown's women's was, and, I mean, can Alexa Bliss and Mickie James be let's say, I'm going to be honest with you, is Nikki Bella and Alexa Bliss the two pieces of the puzzle that basically are not on SmackDown now that were at its peak?
You know what? You might be right. And I've never been the biggest Bella's fan, but I think there might be some truth to that. And even with having these great superstars in the women's division on SmackDown, they brought on Charlotte. We haven't seen a lot out of Tamina just yet, except for her getting friend zoned by Ellsworth tonight. I just want to see more of it, more meaningful work. And maybe we'll get that next week because it's an elimination match. But for me tonight, unfortunately, that's the shits. As for the positives, there were several. I'm going to go with Jinder Mahal's coronation. Not only was that outstanding, it legitimized him as a champion, but what we also didn't get, which I thought we were for sure going to get before I found out that, Randy's going to challenge him again, is someone to challenge him and break up his celebration. Because obviously, is that a heel move to break up the celebration? But now it's like, I have no idea who's going to come after that. I don't see that belt going back to Randy Orton anytime soon. I think Randy's wife just gave birth. I might be mistaken on that, but honestly, it's just predicting how that's going to go, because Jinder's hot. Jinder's hot right now.
Just so, do you believe he's a transitional champion, that he's basically just somebody to get the belt from Orton to somebody else? I mean, or do you think he's going to be long term?
Oh God, I hope he's not a transitional champ. People think that Jinder is like brand new, that it's like Jinder's been wrestling for like 10, 12 years. Like, he was in that original NXT Championship match with Seth Rollins back 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I hope he's not a transitional champ, just because now everybody cares about the WWE Championship. And with Randy, they didn't really care. I mean, some of them did, but it's really just predicting and thinking of like what angles could work with Jinder. I'm going to cheat and say another shit's pick was no Mojo Rawley tonight. But what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, we where's Waldo? Remember, I tweeted that out today. Like, maybe we got to have where's Mojo, man, because this has been a couple weeks in a row. I'm like, dude, did they just? I mean, he's your Andre the Giant battle royal winner, and you can't find anything for him. I mean, anything.
Yeah. And they, like I said, they had that beef back at WrestleMania where they got one over on Jinder. Gronkowski threw a beer in his face and all that. Everybody's forgotten about that. But they could bring that right back into the storyline pretty damn quick, if they wanted to.
I mean, and you know what we'll probably get, unfortunately, is it'll probably be wasted on a SmackDown episode.
Oh God,
he'll come out and Mojo will bring it up, and then literally that's, it'll be okay. Then they have a match later that night, and Jinder beats him, and it's over.
Yeah. That would make me sick.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, not. That's, it was funny. I was just interviewing somebody for one of the other shows, and we talked about long-term booking and not waste. They basically like, it's the microwave society where the storyline's got to be done by the next pay-per-view. And he brought up, he goes, do you remember back in the day when Ric Flair and Dusty had a feud going, and it would literally be like 8 months before they had the blow-off match at the pay-per-view? And he's like, why can't we, why? And because I asked him, and I'll ask you this today, why does everybody have to wrestle every pay-per-view?
Merchandise.
Because Brock Lesnar doesn't wrestle every pay-per-view.
I knew you were going to go there.
But actually, I'm okay with that, which is what people give me a hard time about it, because I'm one of the ones that are like, if you don't have somebody, and play that angle, Paul Heyman can say, you don't have anybody worthy to challenge for the title. So we're not fighting. Yeah,
and I'm okay with feuds going long term if it makes booking sense to do it. And SmackDown, you can get away with not having superstars on, if we don't have anything to do, it's not going to hurt them to keep them off TV, but I'm a fan of Mojo, so I want to see him in some capacity. And I'd rather not see him, to be honest, I'd rather not see him than have him do some shit tepid feud with like Aiden English or whoever.
Agreed.
But with that, I guess we'll have to look forward to next week when, are you and Myron going to that show?
Yeah, we're going. It's right now, it's just me and him. That's it. So, I mean, we'll have, hopefully, we'll have pictures and all that. Because I know he got some cool thing to attach to his phone for pictures or something. He was telling me, like, to upgrade the camera on it or something. I'm like, okay. But yeah, so we'll be there. We'll come back, have firsthand, So I guess the flip argument would be there won't be, we'll sit there and say there won't be the live tweeting for SmackDown like there typically is because I won't have, my phone. I won't have my TV on my phone, more or less. And I'm just horrible about when I go to live shows, man. I don't like to take a ton of pictures. I like to be in the moment and just get crazy. So there next Tuesday or for SmackDown, there won't be a lot of that, that kind of thing going on like normal. But when we do the show, it'll be real, you'll have to remind me a lot of times what happened and I'll be like, oh yeah, and then this happened and then this happened. So, we don't need somebody to send in a first account because it'll be a first-hand account. So yeah, we're excited about it, definitely.
I imagine you boys are going to have a couple of Steve Weisers at the event.
I'll probably do it before we go. It's a lot cheaper here in Atlanta to just do it before you go. And
yeah,
I don't know.
When we went to SmackDown, we did that too. We were drinking in the parking ramp.
Yeah, because I mean, in Phillips Arena, dude, the tall boys are like $8. I mean, it's like ridiculous, and I'm like, dude, I can buy like a 12-pack for that somewhere. It's like, dude, I don't, So I know it's anything everybody knows about me. I'm pretty frugal, even when it comes to price of beer. I'm like, that's me. So anywho, so with that, dude, we're looking forward to going out to the show next week. We've actually got a bunch of stuff coming this week, so. First of all, let me kind of go ahead and give you a little bit of the programming notes. Obviously, the Raw episode was last night. It's still available for download. The Tonight Show, then that drops. The podcast version drops on Wednesday, which you're used to, that's what we have now. It's the podcast version. If you're asking where was the live show, go back and download last night's show because you didn't listen to it. So go listen to the last night's show. Thursday is the debut of what's the show, man? You've been excited about it.
Oh, it's the DDT Archives. Good brother, Jack brother. It's going to be quite the show. I'm excited. And I'm not going to give away what they're covering, but... Well,
they spoiled it. They put it out. So it's public now. Yeah, so they did put it out. So they are covering WrestleMania 1.
WrestleMania 1.
So, and believe it or not, the show's already in the show's in the can already. I've heard a portion of it. Download it. As soon as it hits, dude, download it. It's pretty good.
I'll be all about that, and bringing them and having them slated in that Thursday spot is perfect for me. So I'm really excited.
Oh yeah, Throwback Thursday. The Lotta Brothers are coming on with the DDT Archives, covering old pay-per-views from all of the promotions: NWA, AWA, WCW, WWE, WWF, ECW, blah 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 blah. So anything that's on the network will be covered. And because I've actually asked, can I throw in a couple suggestions for them? Just because sometimes I want them to feel the pain of what it was like to watch some of that old stuff. And I'm going to pick some real shit storms for them to watch. I know they just sat through one, so we'll give them a break for a little while. So maybe that's an inside joke with the show. Maybe we kind of throw out like some real stinkers, But I know they're going to do a poll too. So they're going to, they're going to have the fans voting a lot on it. So it'll be very interactive that way as well. So of course everybody goes, well, wait a minute. If they're on Thursday, what the hell happened to the Dorks? Well, the Gorilla Press hosted by the Wrestling Dorks is moving to Friday. Just moved one day. And it's funny. The shows just keep rolling, man. Cause now that means then somebody goes, well, wait a minute. If they're on Friday, well, where did the interview shows go? Well, it's going to Saturday. So that show's going to move to Saturday. So, and this week we have Damian Bennett, who is the All-Pro Championship Wrestling. It's Robert Gibson's promotion here in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area. I interviewed him actually today. I'll go ahead and say I interviewed it today. So that'll be dropping on Saturday. And the hits keep coming, man. I've got champion after champion coming on. I'm not going to tell you who, but tomorrow I'm interviewing a women's champion. After that, I've got, I can't even tell you what she is because it'll completely give away who it is. But we've got it's just rolling, man, with the Fight app. They're loading us up with a lot of the promotions and a lot of the local guys. Myron and I actually, believe it or not, we're going to hit a couple promotions this weekend. So it's not just SmackDown this week. We're actually doing a couple shows this weekend as well, hooking up with some guys. And so, that's what we're excited about.
And next weekend, 2 weekends from now, June 3rd.
That's not this weekend, but the next one. Yep.
The next, yeah. First Avenue in Minneapolis, June 3rd. WrestlePalooza, the 10th anniversary. It's going to be something special. Legend's going to be there. Anyone in the Minneapolis area, the Midwest, attending, holla at your boy, and then let's have some fun.
So that's kind of where we're heading, man. We're going to try to get out to some of these shows and kind of meet and greet, kind of meet some people. I'm super excited. I'll tell you off air about what I'm so excited about today that came out during the interview today, which would really got me jacked up and excited. But hey, we, with all these changes coming, we always tell you just stay in touch, man. Stay following us. Couple easy ways to do, man, is we always tell you one. If you got just any questions, comments, suggestions, anything, you can just reach us at tappedoutvwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. That is tappedoutvwrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. Everybody's favorite, though, man, is Twitter. Let's be blunt. I think that's where everybody's rolls these days is on Twitter. That we are at tappedouttpod. That is at tappedouttpod. That is actually the network's Twitter. So if you have anything directly you want to send to, the network itself, you can hold us up there. If you got any questions for the Legend, where would they find you, man?
Legend is very active on the Twitter, and they can find me at Litman316. It's like Hitman with an L. Legends never die.
And so, hey, mine's Tapped Out Nick if you want to send me something on the side. Typically, I tell people all the time, if you're messaging Tapped Out Nick, you're probably either a promoter or a wrestler or somebody like another podcast that you're trying to get a hold of me for something on the business side of it. That's at Tapped Out Nick, and I strongly encourage it if you're a wrestler, promoter, etc., that you're trying to get in touch with me. Find that one. That's the good one. We're also on Facebook. That one is simple. It's just Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network. Boom, you can find it. And again, if you're looking for do some business side, this is kind of a new one. I've just opened this account to kind of separate my personal life. Apparently, my wife really likes the concept of me not showing pictures of the grandkids to the entire wrestling world. So, Tapped Out Nick McDaniel. That is just it's same name, so you can make it easy. But Tapped Out Nick McDaniel is actually a real person. It is me. It's kind of where I'm moving all the promotions, the wrestlers and stuff on Facebook for the business side. So contact me there as well. Then of course, man, my favorite, man, go to the website for crying out loud. Just tappedoutvwrestlingpodcast.com. When you go there, the media player is right down the middle. You can download every episode, all 120, 8 or 9 that we're at now. Jesus, the problem with coming out with 5 or 6 episodes a week is I used to keep up so easy with the episode numbers, and now no idea from day to day. So definitely the media player right there in the middle makes it easy to download them all. But my favorite thing is to the left, you've got iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher right down to the side. We always just tell you iTunes or Google Play are kind of the big two, to be blunt. If you subscribe to either of those, you're never going to miss an episode because you know me. If I get 3 interviews in a week, I'll throw an extra episode in on an empty day just because. So if you're not subscribing, you're trying to just keep up by downloading. That's going to get old quick when we have 7 shows and we have a show dropping every day. God bless you. Just subscribe. It's going to be much easier on your world and your life just to download it. It's just a whole lot simpler. Then of course, to the right, you've got our Fight app link. This is our bread and butter where we tell you this has kind of become our wheelhouse. The Fight app has a lot. I mean, when I mean a lot of wrestling, product on there that is we love. The guys over at Rocky Mountain Pro, Rockstar Pro, Throwback Championship Wrestling, KI. I mean, trust me, you could it's a rabbit hole. When you go down on that Fight app, it's kind of like YouTube. It's the way I joke about it. You go down and just start watch something. It will be hours before you come back. I call it the Netflix, of pro wrestling. The beauty of the Fight app is it's not just pro wrestling. It's MMA, it's boxing, it's grappling, it's all the good stuff. And then, hey, we actually, if you have paid attention on Twitter, there's a contest going on right now that you can win $25 credit on the Fight app. And everybody's like, well, what's on the Fight app that I got to pay for? Because you just told me a lot of it's free. Well, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, those guys run pay-per-views on there. $25 credit going towards a Ring of Honor Impact pay-per-view. Thumbs up. Remember, the contest has changed this week, so I do want to plug that. The Twitter question is up. all of the DMs, almost said, the DMs and the emails, all of the correct answers to the trivia question I asked on Twitter. We're going to draw randomly out of all of the people who turn in the correct answer. Then on next week's show, we will announce the winners, and when I'll get that information over to the Fight app. But of course, hey, to win, you gotta have the Fight app. So download the app using the link. It's on our Twitter, it's on our Facebook page constantly. It's right there on the website. So you want to download it using our link, and then you got to register, because when you win, they're going to credit to the email account that you registered. So that's what we're going to ask you for if you win. So kind of go ahead and get it all. Download the app and register. So when I ask you what was your email, you have that answer for me. Right below that, of course, is the Amazon link. Man, it's real simple, guys. We're adding all these shows. We're giving you a ton of content now. Just, hey, what we're asking you is help us just cover some of this overhead. And we're not asking you to spend a dime. You're going, wait a minute, how are you asking me for money? And you don't want me to spend any money. I didn't say that. I didn't want you to pay anything extra. And what I mean by that is, if you will take that old Amazon.com bookmark that you have on your browser, replace it with ours. Just click on it, go there, save that as your Amazon link. All your normal purchases, again, won't cost you an extra penny. And we're not asking you to buy anything extra, just the stuff you were already buying. Amazon kicks a little commission our way. It just kind of helps us out, support the show, to cover this overhead, dude. It's starting to grow, but we're doing it for you because we love it, and this is kind of what we're here for. But just if you can help us out, it'd be greatly appreciated. That's just kind of what we're saying, and definitely help us out. What else, Nathan? I mean, that's a laundry list, it seems like now. It just grows and grows and grows on a weekly basis, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's changes being made, and it's exciting to be a part of it. And there's a lot of good wrestling coming up, not just, in WWE, but as you said, you run down the gambit. There's great indie shows almost every weekend, especially getting to that summer season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and we didn't even plug the fact that, June 5th is the debut of the NXT, Ring of Honor show. Pro Wrestling Prestige, that prestigious podcast. Yeah, it takes me a second, but that's it. And then it will get there. And Lewis is going to kill me because I always struggle with the name, but I love the name, but just I struggle with it. But that show's coming. June 5th is the debut, and he will recap Ring of Honor and NXT. And then, of course, probably a week or two after that, we have an Impact show coming. When all of the ink is dry on the contract, I can say names and things like that, but we were almost there. If you were actually a detective, you could figure it out, to be honest with you. If you had Twitter, you could figure it out. But, so what you're talking about is just the quality of product that's out there that's other than wrestling. Other than WWE. It's NXT, Ring of Honor, it's Impact. We're talking now, we're going down to the Indies and, the Rocky Mountain Pros and the Rock Stars. All that. We're covering all of this different wrestling and trying to show the world, WWE's great. We're still going to have 2 shows that cover it. It's not like you're not going to be able to find anything WWE, but there are other stuff out there, and we want people to find out a very intimate, environment. You can go watch indie wrestling, man, with, you get up close and with your kids, and they can enjoy themselves because they can walk up and shake the hand, and the guys that look larger than life up in the ring, they'll be able to walk up and shake their hand and buy a picture or buy a shirt or that kind of stuff. And by the way, ProWrestlingTees.com, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast Network has a store there. The shirt is available right now. Go ahead and purchase it. Right now, the black one's up. Everybody really wanted the black, so we went with the black with the red lettering. So that is there. You can grab that shirt, obviously, and kind of join the Tapped Out Nation, as the legend has dubbed it, and the Tapped Out Nation. So we're excited, dude. This is more and more changes coming over and so. And again, I do want to address, because I had a couple emails today. I know. The live shows, us going back to the podcast format like you're listening to now, it just, the schedules, all the above. But dude, it's just, I'm super excited about where we're heading. And with everybody else coming on, I made a joke to somebody today, is they should be excited because they're going to hear less of me. It's going to be more of other people. Dude, it's not, there was a time when every show we did was me and somebody else talking, for crying out loud. So I was like, hey, I probably will slowly slide more into the interview shows. and that's where you'll hear me most of the time. And but hey, the legend's not going to throw me out. He's going to let me come in every other week or a couple times a month and join the show because I do still love WWE, but I'm going to take this indie project as some have called it here in the studio, and I'm going to run with it, and we're going to do something with that. So yeah, the legend is going to have his house. So and we're going to kind of visit from time to time. So that's kind of where we're heading.
Yeah, just like Paige, this is my house.
Yeah, this is my house. So
well, Nick, very good show tonight. I think that was the biggest takeaway, especially given the stinker we had last night. If nothing else to add, what time is it?
Brother, I mean, if it's that, man, it's time to tap out.